Welcome, readers. On this installment of Book Chat, joining me are my 3 book bloggers, 1 series read-along co-host, Casey and Nicola. Tonight, we're discussing Endless Night, the second book in the Arcana Chronicles by Kresley Cole. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Join in this book discussion by finding me on Twitter, as well as my book blogger co-host. Tweet at us using our special hashtag 3bloggers1series. That's using the numeric 3 and 1. Again, that's hashtag 3bloggers1series. If Twitter isn't your thing, no worries. You can join the Facebook group, Shelf Addiction Official, and talk about the series with us there, as well as other bookish topics. I hope to hear your thoughts on this book. The links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. Before we jump into the conversation, as always, I have a quick note for you. I want you to get the full enjoyment out of this conversation, so I recommend that you read the book first. This is a roundtable book discussion, so of course, spoiler alert, you've been warned. Welcome back, guys, to another read-along discussion. Today we are talking about Endless Night, the second book in the Arcana Chronicles by Kresley Cole. Joining me, as always, are my 2 read-along co-hosts and friends, Nicola and Casey. I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Casey, why don't you go first?
Hi, everybody. I'm Casey. I've been a book reviewer for Literary Escapism since 2010, and I have also started editing novels at Heart Full of Ink since 2017. I'm so excited to be here.
Hey, welcome. Nicola?
Hey, everybody. I've been blogging at alphaheroes.net since 2007. I've had a couple of gigs on third-party sites, but right now my favorite third-party gig is right here on Shelf Addiction and running this 3-way podcast with you guys. Yay!
Yay! Awesome. So this is Young Adult, guys, and if you've been with us, then you already know. Spoiler alert. Don't be shocked. We're going to jump into it. So we've got a lot to cover. Let's start with what we liked. Let's start with that. Because I know, okay, so wait, first, don't forget, Casey, you got to give us your biggest plot hole later. So think of that now if you haven't already.
Okay, I will think of that. I will think about it.
Okay. So, Nicola, what did you like best about the book?
I think the thing about these books is just the tension is so high. It just pulls me through every book, and the world is so dark and grim, and you're so there's so much suspense about what's going to happen next, and where the betrayals are going to come from, and what the bad guys are going to do. So I guess that's the thing that stands out the most to me.
For me, I think it was the best thing for me was the fact that I finally understood the dynamic of the game a little more. I mean, I knew before, but it's like a whole nother level now. And the complication that was presented to us as oh my God, between Death and the Empress was kind of like, oh my God, this got a whole lot more interesting.
I would agree, because she was so confused in the first book. She had no idea what was going on, but now she has more knowledge, so we have more knowledge, and the complexity is building up there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's basically what I liked most about this book was the world building and the tension and how it just sucks you in and it starts explaining everything. But there's still so much more because there's 22 major arcana, and a few of them have been killed off, but there's still so many that we haven't even met yet.
Yep.
So I know it's going to pull you through the rest of the series.
Yeah. And I know this is going to kind of be jumping ahead. I know, but I just got to get it out there because I feel like it's going to be some good conversation. So did you guys feel, okay, this is how I felt. And you can tell me if you felt this way or if I'm like, you're like, Tamara, no, what are you talking about? But like when, Evie and Death were together, I started to feel like, before the reveal anyway, that there was some Stockholm syndrome going on. Like, I know that you have something to do, so you're going to try to seduce him. But at that same point, I'm like, why are you like, it felt like Beauty and the Beast, like, oh, I hate you, but I like you. And I'm like, oh, what's happening? I kind of felt like that at first.
Yes.
Yeah,
Did you guys think that?
I do get a little, I don't know, frustrated with Evie's back and forth between Jack and Eric, or Arik. So I'll say that, and that's probably kind of a YA thing. But they did, in to give full credit, the author set it up right from the beginning, where when she was a little girl, she would look at the card and feel sorry for him and think he looked lonely, and she didn't, automatically hate him like her grandmother wanted her to. So I think that the seeds have been there from the beginning, but yeah, it is hard to turn him into a sympathetic character.
Yeah, and I do understand. Like, I feel like once the reveal was made, that feeling went away. I'm like, okay, I get it now. But before that big reveal, and you guys know what I'm talking about if you've read the book. But before we get there, before that, that's how I felt. I'm like, okay, we know you're trying to like play him, but your confusion is killing me right now. Like, focus on the mission, girl. Get it done. Stop throwing this other crap in the mix. But, now we know why,
I'm just going to say this. I have terrible taste in men. I know. I acknowledge this. It is something I'm working on in my life. But I fell in love with Death. And I was all like, oh, hi. You're cute.
Casey's like,
oh my God.
The ultimate bad boy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. He's so bad, but he's a virgin.
Casey, would you have been throwing out the nets early on, like, oh, let me do the wet t-shirt right now.
Oh, yeah. Let me go stand out in the rain.
Oh, it's chilly. It's so chilly.
Oh my goodness. Did I forget to put on a bra today? Oops.
Oh my God. That was so funny to me. I'm like, wow, girl, you tried it.
Yeah.
No, I definitely would have done that right up until the point where he said he was owed a wife and owed sex. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Fuck you.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my line in the sand. I can't. Nope. You're dead to me, Jess.
He lost a lot of points with me with the Celise, I gotta say. The whole barbed arm cuff thing.
Yeah.
I'm defending him because I'm terrible.
and I've read a lot of BDSM, and that was not consensual. I was not.
No, that wasn't even sexual. That's more of like, I need to protect myself and my home and the people who are with me. What's her name? Lark.
Yeah.
He needed to protect Lark and the animals because the first thing he did was try to kill her.
Yep.
I feel like there was another way he could have done that, I feel like. But to stick that thing on her arm, because the whole process of getting that thing off was awful.
Yep. Oh, yeah. No, that was terrible.
Yeah, and I think, when you have immortal characters or characters that can regenerate or whatever, the violence tends to get a little more brutal. So I've seen that in urban fantasy before. Nalini Singh's Angel series and Mel Jean Brooks' Demon series. The brutality gets, ratcheted up because your stakes have to be a little bit higher.
They can heal. Yeah. They can heal. So, yeah. But I'm cringing the whole time. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, just rip the thing off. Just hurry up. Rip the thing off already. Like, oh my God, you're just killing me right now. Like, why are you taking your time? Oh God.
Yeah, that was a hard one. But so much drama and so much tension, right? It was an amazing scene.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was. So do you like old girl, what's her name? I can't even think of it
Lark?
right now. Lark. Yeah. Do you actually like her when it's all done and at the end of the day, or do you still kind of feel like, meh, I don't know. Is she good or bad? I don't know.
I don't know.
Good, bad, good, bad, bad, good,
good, bad, good. Yeah. Good, bad, good. And bad again, then good again. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she got him out of that canyon alive. But walked into a different trap, but they wouldn't have made it if she hadn't helped them with her animal scouts.
Lark is she's a good person to have on your side because she's got a lot of tools that, give you the heads up on things. But the fact that she's so flip-floppy. You never, like, she is not one in the alliance that you could ever trust. Like, if you let her back in the alliance, you just know you always got to watch her back, because she will flip on you. And I still feel now she will still flip again. She will flip to suit her needs. And, you know, that's just her.
Well, she sure had a good reason to be loyal to Death, right? So, I can see that. But,
yeah. Do you think it was luck that Death got her father and she's actually part of the Arcana? Or was it just happenstance?
That's really hard to tell. It didn't seem like luck, but her father had been working for him for a long time, right? And he's only supposed to be able to hear the Arcana calls when the game starts getting close. So I don't know if I'd call that a plot hole. It might be a little plot unraveling.
Yeah, that wasn't really a
little
plot hole.
Little pinpoint there.
Question. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm not sure how long her father worked for him. So let's call it not luck. You know.
What else did we like about this book? What else did we like?
Well, Evie lost her virginity.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
But somehow it's still a problem.
That, you know, that whole scene, I feel like she was shortchanged in her experience, because Death was like yapping in her ear the whole damn time. And she's like, "Dude, shut up! I'm trying
That'll
to get
kill a mood.
Groupon." Like,
that'll kill a mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just stop. I'm like, I don't know. She was so determined, though, to do it despite what he was saying. I'm just gonna, you know.
And I'm glad she did. It made Death so mad. Yeah. I think that was good.
Yeah.
He doesn't own her.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
He thinks he does. And that's
because they were together forever.
Yeah, that's one of his least attractive qualities, is that entitlement he feels. Like, he keeps acting like she's the same person, and he knows better. He's been through 3 games. He knows that they're not the same people. You know?
She's similar, but not the same. Because in the past game, she always tried to kill him.
I mean, but he acts like they are the same person, like that the commitments that the people made in the previous games carry over and stuff.
Yeah. And that's fuck you.
Like, I married you 1,000 years ago, so you're my wife. No, that wasn't actually me.
No, that wasn't that version of life. That doesn't make me your wife forever and ever in every iteration of reincarnation. Yeah. That's not how that works. Now, if I marry you every time, okay, that's one thing, but I'm not marrying you every time.
Let's talk about why he's so obsessed with her, though. This has shades of Vicious and Jane to me. She's the only one in the world he can touch without killing her.
Yeah.
So 3,000 years without being able to touch somebody. That's pretty brutal.
It is brutal. And I kind of felt bad for him in that way, because I feel like the author did a good job of, I guess, bringing forth his real, like, sadness and being alone through Evie, like her saying, like, calling him out on his bullshit, basically. Like, you want to talk to me because no one talks to you. You want to be near me because no one is ever around you. So I think she did a good job making us feel some kind of, empathy for him as far as that. But when it comes down to it, it's like that whole fate thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I still feel like, see, I'm the mean woman. I'll be like, I don't care if I'm the only person you can touch. You're still not going to touch me because you suck. So that's it.
I was going to say, she kept calling herself and Jack Faded. And because I just lost my train of thought. But she called herself and Jack Faded, but herself and Death Endless and Forever. And I definitely see, like, how she can be torn between both guys, because they're both very similar. And if they actually sat down and talked to each other, they'd be like, oh yeah, we could actually be best friends, because we're both aggressive and angry and we hate women, we're protective. Yeah, and I have terrible taste in men. Thank God they're fictional.
they're protective. You said, protective is one of the adjectives that you use to describe them. And I feel like they just treat her like she's a damn idiot. Like she's fragile and she can't do anything. But she's strong. I mean, this fool had to put something on her arm to keep him, himself safe from her. Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know. Stop treating the women like they're helpless. They're not.
So in this book, it doesn't come out with death so much. So I'll try to be quiet. But, I think Jack has good reason to feel protective of Evie because her powers didn't show up until recently. And she's still kind of helpless in the everyday situation, right? In the great danger, she can protect people but it takes a lot out of her. She can't be the Empress every day against the bagmen and against the rain and against the cold,
Yeah, she's weak. She can barely walk enough to keep up with everybody without gasping for breath the entire time, which was shown again. In the first book, when she shot a gun, she ended up knocking herself out instead of...
Oh my God, that was ridiculous, right?
So, in that sense, she's very weak in the day-to-day stuff. And they do need to be around to protect her.
I guess. I feel like I just inherently fight against this protective mode. And it's in me to just hate it. I don't know why.
Because you want the heroine to be...
I mean,
in my real life, yeah. No, absolutely. If some guy treated me that way, I'd punch him in the throat.
Yeah, and I feel like, okay, protection is good, but why do you have to, talk down to her while you're trying to protect her? Or... I don't know, make her feel foolish because she can't run as fast or, have the stamina that you do or have the survival instincts that you do. I just don't like how Jack, at this point, still deals with her, even now, even though we didn't get them together that much in this book, but still, I still have a problem with him. And you're right, Nicola, Death or Alaric, whatever his name is, he is a little bit different than Jack in that way. He's not as, I guess, protective of her, but he will be, and I can tell he will be, because if he decides that they're just going to be together, like in how we feel at the end of the book, he doesn't want anyone to kill her because they've decided. So that's it. You're going to be locked away like a princess in a damn
tower.
You can't do anything. You can't even cut this food with a fork and knife because you might stab yourself, kind of thing. That's what he's going to be.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely how he treats her. And he, from the very beginning, he's been telling everybody that nobody can harm her. Nobody can touch her because she's his. Yeah. So in that sense, he's also protecting her that way. And he did it with the cannibals too.
Yeah.
And how she was brainwashed, and he's all like, why don't you talk about this? Let's talk about this story instead of eating the food you poisoned yourself. Yeah.
But I mean, let's think about that. With the cannibal guy, whatever, I can't remember what his card was. Yes. She got out of that. I mean, barely by the skin of her teeth, but she did. Thank God she poisoned that body, because she would have been a goner, but somehow she made it through without anyone's help. Okay, she did. So
no, she was brainwashed, and Death had to help her get to stop eating enough or distract everybody so she didn't eat.
Oh, that's right. So he did kind of distract her.
Yeah. Because she kept picking up the food, and she was about to bite, and Death would say something. And then...
Oh, forget it. Oh, see, I'm mad. Okay, never mind. You're right. Never mind.
She never really saved herself, ever.
No, she didn't. Evie, get your shit together.
But she did 80% of it in that. She had a plan, and she had a little bit of help, but I think she did most of it.
I feel like the more she remembers from past games, the more mature she'll be, and the better choices she'll make, and the more she'll look out for herself in a different way. I hope.
Yeah, I think the thing that comes out over the books is that some of the cards are really awful, really, really awful. And some of them are playing the game, but they're not as inherently evil. And then some of them, have the same when Evie starts talking about an alliance where she's not going to kill them off, they feel hopeful. I will say I've read, and I remember most of the storyline, if not all the details. But I've read all but the last book, which is due out this spring or summer, and I have no idea how she's going to resolve this game where they're supposed to kill each other off and only one remains. I still have no idea how that's going to work out in the end. So that's a mystery all the way through the series, is how they're going to get over this rule.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me still is a lot of tension in the game. Like, are they going to be able to? Is there any winning here?
No. Well, there's a winning. One person wins unless she totally, goes away from the rules of the game that were originally set. Somehow she manages to derail those rules. Then maybe, but if not, then only one will live. And I don't know. I kind of expect that it's going to go down very messily and a bunch of people are going to die because, like, even looking at reality TV, Celebrity Big Brother was just on. And I don't know if you watch that or not, but whenever you have an alliance, guaranteed 1000%, there are going to be many alliances within that alliance. So you can never just trust people straight out, ever. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work that way. So eventually it's going to break down and more people are going to die.
See, I told you, it's this really messed up Survivor type game. You have to make these big alliances in the beginning, and then the alliance breaks down. And they've even said that, we'll ally to get rid of death, and then after that, it's all bets are off again. So,
yeah, I don't think they'll even wait that far. So, like right now, just how, or girls switch teams. I feel like within the more people she brings into the alliance, it appears strong, but within that, there are already going to be alliances amongst other players within that group before they even get to the part where they're able to kill death. So
we already know that, like, Jules and Tower are kind of a partnership, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things that makes it a really fun series to follow through, is there's so much tension in so many different directions. And the kind of weird, wacky powers they have adds another dimension to it. But at the bottom line, it's the interpersonal dynamics between all these different quote cards that make it just fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is different. And at first, I'll be the first to admit, at first I kind of was like, I like it, but I'm not really sure if I like it. Mm-hmm. But now I feel like I'm more vested. I definitely want to see how things progress with Evie as a character. That's really important to me, that she end up not being like a weak person. I really can't stand it. So I feel, if nothing else, invested to see, well, how does she handle her little, love triangle thing, which I kind of hate. I almost would rather her just be destined for one of them and it not really be a triangle, and then she just has to figure out how to get with that one person. But of course, it just can't be that straightforward. It has to be convoluted, like YA is.
I will say, and I think I told you guys at the beginning, if you don't like love triangles, stay away from this series, because that's the whole. You don't get away from it very soon. So.
So who do you guys think is right for Evie, since we're talking about the love triangle? Who do you think she should be with?
Man, it's a hard question. I have a soft spot for Jack personally, but then it gets to, is this game really real, and how's she going to get out of it? If she wins, then she's immortal. If she doesn't win, then she's dead, and neither bodes well for Jack, So unless they find some way to break the rules of this game, it's really hard to see how it's going to end.
Sometimes I wish that somehow, some way, it would just appear that Jack is immortal in some way that he didn't know, or he's a side component to this game and always has been for every round, and no one knew. Like, I keep waiting for something to pop up where suddenly he's also in this grouping with them and they just don't know it yet.
I'm convinced he is, because And I keep comparing him to Mal from the Grisha series that we just read, where he can find anything. He hunts things down. He went and found fucking headphones in a small town so he could listen to Evie's confessional tapes. Like, he finds anything he looks for. He never gets hurt. They said he, like, ran into the militia without ducking bullets and didn't get hit, which is very supernatural sounding to me.
True.
So, yeah, I think he's like Mal, how Mal was the third part of the Grisha, what's that word? The triangle thing. Sorry, guys. But yeah, like, Mal was destined to be part of her life in that series, and I think Jack is destined to be part of Evie, or part of this group, or part of the supernatural, because what he does isn't very human.
Yeah.
You know? Finding everything, not getting hurt, drinking so much, and not having a hangover.
Yeah, and honestly, the way that Jack goes berserk over her, I mean, I understand, like, kind of being sad. I mean, obviously being sad and upset at first, but it just goes on, and every time she checks in with Matthew, he's losing his shit, like, constantly. I'm like, there's something more.
Ripping his hair out, punching holes in walls. Yeah, that's not normal behavior.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's definitely something other than just straight human. That being said, I want Evie to end up with death.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're so sure.
Somebody needs to take his virginity, please. And not in a I owe you kind of way, because that's fucked up. But he needs some loving. Well, happy loving.
Well, he also beheaded her after he married her in the last game. So I think, she
tried to kill him.
You could say that he owes her a head, I don't know.
He did give her head.
Not what I said.
God.
I'm sorry.
He would have.
A head.
He went down on her.
And then she didn't.
And she's like, what the fuck is this?
And then she didn't come across. Man, death just cannot win. Wait. Although I don't get why these guys are so surprised that she doesn't want to get pregnant. Like,
yeah. Like, that was rude to me. I'm like, Death is like, I'm like, what's wrong with you? At least she is thinking straight, right? Like, no one wants to get pregnant. Who wants to get pregnant in the apocalypse? Nobody. That's dumb. That's the dumbest thing ever.
Exactly.
Like, why would you want that?
So I think it's a frustrating, almost tease, I guess, but I can totally see why she's not down for that.
No. And I mean, think about it this way. I feel like most women would feel this way. If they got pregnant in the apocalypse and they had this specific situation like Evie does, I'm sorry. Alliances be damned. Everyone is dying because I'm not going to die with this kid in me, right? So everybody is dying.
Not taking any chances.
So that's it. Right.
And I mean, you don't...
Including my quote-unquote husband. You're dead, too. You're dead to me.
Well, and he's just like, that'd be great. I'm like, dude.
No. It would slow her down. It could mess up with her magic. You don't know how pregnancy would affect that. And, like, morning sickness and having to run away. But if she's 9 months pregnant, she'd be waddling and easy to pick off by literally anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you just keep her locked up in that fortress there.
Oh my God. With the stupid smelly wolf sitting at the bottom of her bed.
Cyclops.
Ugh. Yeah. That's cute though. I feel like the wolf, that Cyclops is going to side with her eventually at some point. Maybe it's possible that the wolf could actually turn on
Mark.
Yeah. But we'll see. I don't know. I feel like she's developing a relationship with that wolf. So.
Oh, absolutely.
It does feel that way.
If you bait the wolf, you're friends for life, apparently.
Well, he does protect her, but I think that's still at Lark and Death's request or order or whatever.
But I don't think he would kill her. Like, let's say Lark said, forget it. You don't have to babysit her anymore. I feel like he still would. I feel like it.
Probably.
I mean, come on, he even got a bath out of it.
Yeah.
He's liking her right now.
Maybe.
His own spot on the bed. He doesn't have to fight the other wolves for affection. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, Evie doesn't talk crap about him, being like, half blind, the whole thing, But that's just me. We shall see, I guess. Time will tell.
The future books will tell. Or they won't. We'll see.
Yes. Or they won't. And then that will be plot hole.
So Matthew is got kind of a different role in this book, right? In the first book, he was so hard to understand and so hard to follow, and she was trying to figure out, whether she was going crazy or not. And he seemed like he was driving her crazy on purpose. In this book, he's got kind of a different role to play, and she's still trying to pump him for information, but it all comes out so garbled and weird that it's hard to see what the hell he's saying until it's too late, like with Lark, good, bad, good. Like, okay, now I see it, now that it's too late,
Right. Matthew is a little annoying to me. And I kind of understood why Evie was upset with him at first, because you tell part, but not, all, but you won't tell me all. You'll only tell me the part that you think I need to know. But I guess I also get that, he said throughout this whole book, bad isn't always bad.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So he's picking and choosing what to tell her to kind of position her in a way that he thinks that she should be to do what needs to be done. And I guess I kind of have to appreciate him doing that, but he's also pulling her strings. Just tell the girl what's what and let her make a choice. I feel like that's kind of another person manipulating her because she's too weak to understand what's going on. Like, here we go again, even though they're just friends,
I don't think it's that he thinks she's too weak. I think it's that he has an end game in mind that he wants to have happen. I think he's actually trying to play this game, and I don't know if he wants everybody to die or if he wants the alliance to work. Like, it's hard to figure out what he's saying. But he's definitely trying to, he tried to break up her and Jack and push her towards death. And, he let death watch her and get in her brain all the time. And they said it was from her debt, but we don't really know what that was yet.
That's true.
So, yeah, I think Matthew is playing the game and not necessarily putting her where he wants her to be because she's stupid. It's because he's putting her there because that's where he wants her to be for the end game.
So maybe she's underestimating him.
Yes.
Maybe I am too, because I took it at fairly face value that he's a little bit crazy, that he can't really give a straight answer even if he wanted to. Like, his brain just doesn't work that way. But maybe you're right.
I think it's a little bit of crazy, a little bit of ulterior motives. He wants Death and Evie together, or he wants Evie to win, or he just wants them to take each other out and then somebody else will swoop in and win, or whatever.
Yeah. I do believe Matthew when he says, Evie's my friend. I miss Evie. I do believe that he feels that and means it. I don't think that he's, I
don't think he's evil, and I don't think he thinks he's doing anything wrong.
Right.
I think, like Evie's grandmother, how she was trying to teach her and nurture her evil side. I think that's how Matthew is he sees Evie as this pawn that he needs to move around the chessboard. And since he can see everything, he knows what to tell her, how she's going to react, and all of that.
Yeah, it's kind of, traditional in mythology that the oracles and the prophecies are always a little bit of a puzzle, right? They never tell you straight out, hey, go left, don't go right. Then the snakes are over there and the happy fun time is over there. It's always like you have to puzzle it out, and there's double meanings, and if you don't figure it out, and you can't tell exactly what they mean until it might be almost too late. So I think there's a certain tradition there that the author is following. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating and adds to the tension of the story, I guess, that you just don't know what Matt is saying when he's saying it. Like, I'll say when he kept saying that when Jack helps, he's hurting her, right? When he helps, he hurts. Like, I think that's not true. I mean, if Jack hadn't gotten her out of Haven, she'd have been killed by the lovers, by the army.
Absolutely.
You know, there's no real question there. She would not, maybe she would have figured out how to kill them with her powers, but that seems unlikely because
probably not.
See, I draw that to the part where he helped her mother die. Like, he helped, but he hurt, right? He hurt you ultimately by doing that, but he also helped you. So, it needed to be done. So that's maybe,
And I mean, her mother probably would have, like, taken a bunch of pills or done something else if he had said no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that was definitely at the mother's request. She saw what was happening. But poor Jack, I felt so bad for him when that secret came out.
I feel like, though, I really do. He hurt himself. He should have told her the truth because Evie was so enamored with him. I feel like her feelings would have been hurt for a minute, but she would have forgave him. She would have understood, just like she understood after a while that, no one can tell her mother anything, right?
Exactly.
Her mother was the person who led that, and she would have understood that as well, but then she would have also known that he hadn't lied to her, because that was a major point of contention with her, especially when she was talking to Death, like, you had never lied to me.
But Jack had no reason to think that secret would ever come out, right? How would he, because he's still at this point, up until the very end of the first book, had no idea that any of this supernatural stuff was real. So the idea that, someone would know that secret other than him and her mother, I don't know. I think it's something you'd see as a kindness to not tell somebody that you had to assist your parent suicide.
I think in normal circumstances that would be true, but at the point where they got to the point where they were ready to do this, they were ready to be honest with each other and let all the secrets out the gate. He had been around Matthew. He knows what Matthew can do. He knows that there's someone in their group that can have visions or see things. So at that point, while yes, before it would be a mercy not to tell her what her mother did, and made me do or I helped her do. At that point, when she's like, tell me, especially when she calls him out, she's like, you look weird. Are you sure there's nothing?
Yeah.
He should have told her.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just my 2 cents, But I feel like he hurt his relationship. He damaged something between them by not telling her, which gives Death the one-up on him as far as Evie is concerned.
Absolutely.
For now.
Yeah. Because he did lie, and they did have that moment where they stared into each other's eyes and said, no more secrets, everything's out on the table. And he looked away, and she's all like, what secret do you have? And he was like, nothing. Which, again, is a lie right there in that moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Nicola, I agree that it was a mercy to not tell her, but because this is the paranormal world, because they had that moment, because Matthew probably saw what was going on, because he sees everything, and he was in Evie's head way back then, and Jack knew that, because she was talking about Matthew back then, he should have told her.
Okay.
Yeah, especially now that he's accepted everything. He's told Evie, hey, I understand. I had a chance to, dissect this. Like you had a chance to. I accept what's going on.
I killed your mom.
I'm here for it.
How do you do that?
Not at the point where he had that point, but at the point when she asked him point blank, hell yeah. He should have been like, look, I got something really bad to tell you, and I know it's going to sound really bad, but I need to make sure that you know this because we're being honest with each other. At that point, not earlier on, that was his chance there. That was the perfect entry right there when she cornered him about it. That's just how,
I know he wanted to not say anything because they were about to have sex, and he just wanted to have sex.
I know.
It's totally going to kill the mood, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
It would have. But I feel like it's going to be a price to pay for that. Like right now, at the end of this book, we see what happens, right? So we're like, oh, snap. Okay. Well, she might be about to do something that she can't come back from. Maybe.
You think? Like taking off from the fortress on a horse?
No.
Well,
to take on,
no, I mean,
where's she headed for? The lovers herself?
Hold on. No, the last page, she's about to have sex with Death.
Yes. Yes, she is.
He's dragging her to his bedroom.
That's the last page?
Yeah.
And I won't wait any longer.
Right.
Yeah,
that was the last for me.
The last sentence is, as Death led me to his bed, the promise of pleasure, I felt the rising heat of desire and of battle.
Right, okay. I read the...
That's why I was like, oh, shit.
No, I didn't start that. I read the little teaser for the next book, so I lost track of where this book...
No, I didn't. I
didn't buy the next book yet. I don't have the next book, but I did get a little fuzzy on exactly where this one ended. Sorry.
No worries.
This is why it's hard for us to do stuff we've already read. This is why. For me, that it's new, I stop from stop and you know stuff. That's why.
I stopped.
Well, you guys are strong.
I made sure
stronger than I am. I read the first, 10 pages of the next book.
Oh, okay. All right. So I guess I have to take that back then. I guess it doesn't happen. So.
So yeah, it's all great. It's all good.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Heat of desire and there's a heat in battle. That's a phrase that keeps coming up, right?
Are they going to get freaky on the battlefield then?
Well, if by freaky you mean ripping people in two with your oak trees, then yes, I think so.
You know I meant sex. Yeah. Are they going to have battlefield? We just killed some people. Let's get it on.
Yeah, we gotta affirm. We gotta affirm. Do something life affirming.
Well, this will be the thing that's going to be interesting. Is Jack is very possessive, just like Death is. But Death was able to get past the fact that Evie has sex with Jack. If Evie were to sleep with him, would it go the other way? Would Jack suddenly get on his holier than thou horse and be like, hey, we're here together, you cheated on me, and act all distraught? Or would he just understand things for what they are and just, not feel like this woman has to be also, his and only his kind of thing? I don't know. We'll see. I guess.
I hope Jack is more modern than Death, because right now the only factor that's keeping me like, oh, Jack is better, because that's what really bothers me with any men. And that's my line in the sand. Anybody is allowed to have sex with anybody they want, as long as it's consensual and happy and all that good stuff. But if you start going, oh, you're ruined because you had sex with another man, then nope, you're out. You're done.
But don't you think
you're dead to me?
But don't you think Jack feels that Evie made a commitment to him?
She did. Yes. She did, kind of.
She did. So, yeah, that's a betrayal. And I know she's going to be like, well, you lied to me about killing my mother.
Yep.
Because that's what Evie does. And there'll just be lots of drama.
So,
and they'll cry.
The YA triangle continues. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I just want one of these men to be more, like you said, Casey, modern, because this reminds me of, I don't know if you ever watched Gossip Girl, but there was this one scene where these two adults, not the children, they get together again after being away from each other for a long time, and they instantly say, well, let's make a list of the people we slept with. We'll both make a list. No, because they run in the same circles, right? So they're like, let's just both put our list out. One guy is like a musician. Oh my God, a musician. So, she thinks he slept with a bunch of chicks, and ends up her list is longer than his. So when she sees his list, she hides half of her list because she instantly feels like he can't know I've slept with more people than he had, which is the honest to God truth. Because the minute he finds the list, he is so put out that her list is so much fucking longer than his. So I'm like,
oh my God.
Right. So that's how I feel like this is how it's going to be. It's like Jack is like, it's all good. I sleep with all these girls, but let you do anything. It's going to be a problem, you know?
Like Monica Geller from Friends, way less than a ballpark.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's one of my favorite lines. People don't remember it anymore. There was a scene when they were talking about how many people they had slept with, and Monica's boyfriend says, "Well, just give me like a ballpark number." And she goes, "Oh, way less than a ballpark."
Mm-hmm. That's how it should be. Don't ever tell. Don't ever tell. Because it's sad, but these guys they can't handle it. They can't handle it. So never tell. That's a tip from me to you. Just from me to you.
Thanks, Mom.
If it's one, don't even tell him that. Don't tell him.
You're the only one that matters, honey.
Yes, exactly. Stroke that ego. Anywho.
What were we talking about?
Right. Hey, that side conversation was very important. It was a PSA.
That was important.
It was a PSA.
Also, can you believe this book is for ages 14 and up?
Yeah.
I was a little shocked by the number 14. I would say 16 and up.
It's so hard for me to say because the stuff I was reading at 14 was way worse than this, so I don't know.
Girl, me too. I was reading V.C. Andrews talking about incest and stuff when I was like in middle school.
I was reading Judith Krantz, Scruples, and I don't know if you remember how that started, but it was, 4-letter words all over the place and crazy Hollywood doings all over the place. So,
to be fair, I was introduced to BDSM through books at 14.
There you go. See?
Yeah. But I was still shocked that the publishing house was actually saying, like, yes, 14 and up, whereas the books I was reading was like, you have to be 21 and older. And I was all like, no, I'm going to read
Well, I think that, and we've kind of like alluded to this conversation before about what YA is in today's society, because like I think of other books where they have full on like open door sex, people going down on each other, the whole thing, and it's in a YA book. It's open. Hey,
True.
Let's do it. And it's YA. So,
at least even talking about condom use in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So girls who read this can be like, all right, it's not the end of the world, but we still need a condom.
Yeah, and there's, the other argument is that teenagers have these issues to deal with, They are thinking about sex and they are thinking about abusive situations and I like this guy but he punches holes in walls. What do I make of that, and so in some ways I think fiction is a safer way for teenagers to explore some of these questions than real life, so I don't have too much trouble putting that kind of stuff in young adult books.
Yeah, and when you say it like that, honestly, I think Jack loses points for being such a hothead. I mean, you do. You can't. I mean, you're gonna punch a hole in the wall. Really, we're doing that. Okay.
And it wasn't the first time he'd done it, because everybody else was just sitting around like, oh yeah, he's doing this again. What's he do?
He's acting crazy again. So,
well, that's true too. But I think that. Yeah, making excuses for that kind of behavior maybe isn't the best way to deal with it. But he's a whole person in this book. He's not just a stereotype of some violent kid.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. I was looking on Goodreads just now, and because I can only see the front of the cover on electronic devices, but someone posted the whole cover. So Evie is with Death on the front, and then Jack is off to the side on the back of the cover. I'm like, oh
yeah, he's there. It's the triangle, or the lines and dots and whatever.
Yeah, like I couldn't see that from a digital version, but that's cool to know it's there.
Well, he doesn't have much page time in this book, right?
He
So
doesn't. Yeah. Even though he's always there, he's just not there. Because he's always talking about him, you know what I mean? So
there was that one chapter that was just a line where it was all like, I only went an hour without thinking about Jack today.
yeah.
And the next chapter was like a month later, and she's like, I'm still thinking about Jack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's almost the reverse of the first book, where you saw Death kind of in a prologue situation where he showed up in that dream when she was at Haven, but he was just in her head. He was a mental presence throughout the book. And this is the reverse, where Death is the real life presence, but Jack is in her mind all the time.
You know what, though? If these characters look like the iteration of the characters on these covers, then I'm sorry, Death loses. Yeah. He's fugly to me. Sorry.
You're not into the Aryan look?
No, I'm not.
Eastern
Jack is the business. Blonde. I like the dark hair. Yeah, give me the dark hair guy. He looks a little more built, too. Yeah.
Cajun.
Yeah. On the cover, Jack definitely wins.
Baby.
No, baby. Oh, God. Oh, my gosh. I'm so funny. I'm dying right now. Okay. Yeah, because in the audiobook, like I've listened to part of it on audiobook, and it's like when he says some of those things in that Cajun, or when he talks to her, he goes, baby. It's like so over the top and ridiculous. You're like, oh my God, what is this? Just stop. Shut up. Oh God. But it's cute, I guess.
Oh.
Yep.
All right, Casey, give us a plot hole.
Okay, so there wasn't like a plot hole like last time, like with the dates and times and whatnot. It was just a lot of tiny little things that I picked up on, like Jack chugging moonshine like it was water and totally fine. Yeah. No, that shit fucks you up. I've had a shot of moonshine and I was not okay. I couldn't speak. And he's just sitting there chugging it and having a conversation like everything's cool.
Hey, he drinks it like water. It's his water.
Yeah.
That's how manly he is, you guys, because he's Cajun.
Oh.
Yeah, like that. He has to be natural. That's the only explanation, because moonshine will fuck you up. But when they were down in the caves going through the pool before Lark as Lark was leading them into that trap, Finn never solved his leg problem. Sorry, I totally brain farted. He had the bear trap, like almost cut his leg in half.
Oh yeah.
Jack was like fireman style, threw him over his shoulder, and then they got caught, and then they were all chained down there. And then Finn woke up, and then, things happened, and suddenly they're running down and running through the caves, and then they're going to swim, and nobody ever sewed up his leg or, like, tied a knot around his...
I thought Jack was helping him with that.
Maybe, but I thought... I don't know. It wasn't like a huge plot hole, but one of those things was like, was this actually solved? Can you walk and swim on this leg that was almost apart?
He probably couldn't, honestly. He wouldn't be able to.
No, I think it was talked about a little bit that they were helping him.
Yeah, I knew they were helping him. I know
Jack had to help.
But they're also helping Matthew, and Matthew was freaking out.
Yeah.
And then, right when Death showed up, why didn't they hear his calling card? Can he hide that? Or was Matthew hiding that? But Matthew was unconscious. Like, they didn't hear Death coming to them until he was, like, right on top of them. And this entire time, you've always been able to hear the calling card voices, like, as they get closer and closer. And sometimes it's like...
I think it might have been because if Matthew was unconscious, right? Because it talks in the second book, in this book, about how Matthew's the switchboard. And if he doesn't want to transmit, then she doesn't hear anything.
But Is it so if he dies, nobody will hear anything ever?
I would say that's correct.
Okay.
Because when he's not cooperating, everything is quiet.
This is true.
See, I think I missed that. I didn't realize that Matthew was like the conduit for people to hear.
Yeah, if you've got the Kindle copy, I would do a quick search on the word switchboard and read what it has to say about that.
I know he does control it, but I didn't realize like if he was dead or unconscious because he sleeps a lot. So I'd have to go back and see,
True.
like, when he's asleep, do they hear other things? Because he does send stuff to her in her sleep. Or does he never sleep?
Yeah. I think that he can turn it on and turn it off. I don't know how conscious it is, but and if he was still in debt to death, then maybe he was suppressing it.
Definitely possible.
For him, like suppressing death signal on purpose, kind of thing.
Possibly. I have to admit, I didn't think about it when I was reading.
Yeah,
it,
you don't really.
Thinking back on the rules of the world building, I think there's a couple of loopholes there. So having to do with Matthew.
And also, what was Logan? Was he human?
No, he's one of the Arcana.
Yeah, but they're all human teenagers. Like Evie grew up human. Lark is human. Death is immortal human, but he was like something with horns.
Yeah, he had horns and he could
grow.
Turn into a giant.
So was he ever human or something else? Not again, not like a plot hole, but just the question of like what?
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know that I care that much. He was super scary, right? So that was his big deal.
Super scary. So, can rip apart the house, kill people.
Yeah, docking his horns to keep him in line.
Yeah, that's really kind of gross.
Yeah,
when you think about it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if any of the other cards had those kind of physical deformities. I don't think any of the ones we've run into so far. They all appear to be regular people with extra powers. I mean, Evie can have vines growing out of her face, so there's that.
See, I think of him like, did you ever see that movie Split? Look, here I am with all these dragging things back to movies and TV. But like in Split, when he becomes the Beast, that's one of his like 22 personalities or something. When he becomes the Beast, his body physically changes. So that's what I think of with this character. So like when he's in his zone or whatever, his body physically changes. Maybe his horns show more than before, or things just kind of change a little bit on his body, like physically when he's like in.
It does seem like he has the horns all the time.
Yeah,
and then when he's mad, he grows. He gets taller.
But see, that's weird. Then how do you just walk around in the world with horns on? That's weird. Like how?
You go live with the apocalypse.
You go live with death. Maybe they came out with the Flash.
Maybe that was triggered it. Maybe.
Let's assume that's
because now the game has begun, kind of thing.
Let's assume that's what happened.
And then who the heck was that just random EMT guy who lives in the castle with death but is never seen ever, except when they're injured?
Yeah, he's like the invisible servant in The Beauty and the Beast, right?
Yeah. No real plot holes in this book, so yeah.
Well, no massive ones.
Yeah, no massive ones. Lots of little questions. This book is not Swiss cheese.
There you go.
Awesome. So, okay, well, it looks like, honestly, we're coming up on an hour, guys. Do you think we should talk a little more? Do you have some other points before we go ahead and rate it? Or do you think we're about done?
I think we could rate it.
We can rate it.
All right. So how about you, Nicola? Why don't you go first?
I'm at a 5 on this. I think, the angst over the triangle is a little bit tough going sometimes, but it's really a hallmark of the genre, so I can't knock it down for that. But I love the world building in this series, and it's the tension builds and the interest in the other cards is building up, and I'm loving this series.
Okay, Casey.
If I could give it half the star, I would give it 4.5, but I'll probably just go with a 4. And most of that's because of death and my terrible taste in men. I mean, it was a great book. It really was. The pacing, the tension were there. There were no major plot holes. There was lots of angst. 2 very hot guys, lots of hot sex going on. But Evie, I don't know, she seems to bother me more in this book than she did in Poison Princess, because she's still not growing as a character. She's not changing. She's not developing any real strength. Like, she can use her powers. And at the beginning, after she killed Arthur, I thought she was going to be more violent, but she's very much holding on to her human life and, you know, talking about her friends and what she did with dancing and art and reading. And she doesn't want to step into her powers. She doesn't really want to grow. And so, yeah, she's bothering me.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with her bothering me as well, but I'm going to go with a 4, and that is a step up because I rated Poison Princess 3, so this is a 4. So this is a step in the right direction. I really did like that it was fast paced. It's definitely was something that felt action packed, but it turned into like a really dramatic teen romance at points, which I kind of was like, I guess, okay, I'll go with it. But it was a lot of angst going on too that kind of was like, it kind of bugged me a little bit, just a little jab in the side. I think that's what kept me
so much angst.
Yeah. But I'm holding out hope that Evie will mature as she remembers her past, and things will get more.
I hope so too.
Yeah, things will get more intense, even more so, and not in the which guy should I choose kind of way, but in a different way. So that's that. You guys, let us know what you rated Endless Night, and let us know if you found all the different times they said Endless Night in the book.
God.
Because I marked down quite a few. So,
yeah.
So join us next month. We will talk about Dead of Winter, which is the 3rd book in the series, and we're going to keep this party going. So yeah, fun stuff.
All right.
You guys have anything else before we end this?
Happy reading.
Happy reading. All right, everyone, take care. See you next month.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.